Our job here on planet Earth at this time is to make sure everybody gets to benefit from legalization. Not just the old and the rich, but the young and the poor. If we can include everybody in legalization, then the cops can't push you around for your flower crimes anymore. And then everybody can get a good job with no boss, which would be great, right? But the way we do that is we build what we want to see and then defend it from the police. You notice there are hundreds of pot crimes going on right now. People growing, people dealing, people smoking, and no police activity other than supervision. I guess they're watching this grow, deal, and smoke because they have nothing better to do. They really have no other role. And how we defend that is through hug power. What is hug power? Well, let me tell you what hug power is. Hug power is when you see the victimless scapegoat, the criminal who should not be a criminal, and you see them getting arrested or about to get arrested, go up to them, give them a hug. Don't let go of them. Don't let go even if the police pull out their batons and start beating you bloody in front of everybody, because then they lose and we win. Also, if they back off and leave us alone to sell pot, we also win. The only way we lose is not to try. But hug power means that you are very assertive. You're not passive, you're not aggressive. You're not letting them walk on you, and you're not letting yourself walk on anyone else. It's a way we can defend farmers markets from the police should they choose to do what they did 2 years ago on this day. In 2015 at the art gallery, they attacked us. And they busted somebody who they later on said was dealing to minors. But really, the whole morning and afternoon, their only complaint was that they were not obeying. They were told to put away their tables and stop selling pot. They didn't stop selling pot, and they were busted for that. But in the midst of the 15 or 20 cops that descended upon that person to get busted, we hugged that person. About 20 or 30 of us hugged that person, and that person took about 20 minutes to get into the paddy wagon. And in the meantime, there was a big fiasco and a kerfuffle that made the news, and the police got bad optics and were looked on as the bad guys, and they don't want to look at themselves as the bad guys. They want to see themselves as the good guys. So they didn't bother us last year. They're not bothering us this year. They probably won't bother us again, but I'd like to tell you how we did this through hug power. It's a way to defend scapegoats from persecution through dignity and nonviolent arrest resistance tactics. And it works. Here we are. We've got a cannabis farmers market. Here we are. And the police are relatively powerless to stop it. And we'll keep doing it until every person in Canada can grow, deal, and smoke pot, and all victimless criminals are free from persecution. No more harmless people getting harmed by the man. That's how it's done. And I'll tell you what the fringe benefit to that is. I just read in the internets the other day, there was a report saying some scientists say we have 3 years to start changing our economy to a renewable, sustainable one. We have 3 years to stop using fossil fuels and switch over to biofuels and renewable energy. We have 3 years to do that, or we're just toast. Now, who knows? Maybe we're already toast, or maybe it's a few more years than just 3 years. But time is running out. And the whole way that oil companies and drug companies rule this world is they make cannabis either illegal or so overregulated it can't compete. And the way to remove that red tape around industrial hemp is to call them on their BS when it comes to teens and pot. That's the key. Because they overregulate industrial hemp, they create cannabis cartels and licensed producer systems, and they justify all the persecution and all the arrests in Vancouver on the myth that cannabis makes kids stupid and crazy. They have a whole bunch of reports that they're relying on. I've read those reports. I read a book on those reports. The book is, Does Cannabis Inherently Harm the Developing Minds of Young People? And the answer is no. If you look at the general population stats, massive increase of cannabis use over time. Massive increase in cannabis use from 1960 to today. 5-fold increase, 5 times the number of users. No increase in psychosis, no dips in IQ. They're lying about cannabis making kids stupid and crazy. They're lying about it so that they can keep it in the hands of the rich. They want to beat up on the young and the poor forever. And we're not going to let them, right? Everybody here is no longer going to be on the hit list. We're all going to benefit from legalization. It doesn't matter if you're a licensed producer and $1 million to grow pot, or you just have a couple of plants in your backyard. As long as you're not hurting another person, you should not be harmed yourself. So there should be no plant limits. There should be no age limits. It should be sold like coffee beans, because it's actually just about as dangerous and costly to society as coffee beans. If you don't believe me, we gathered the evidence for it. It's in our 420 guidebook. You can get a free copy at the medical tent, in the green out tent. If you have too much of those edibles that Marijuana Man was talking to you about, just come up to the green out tent. We have a little cot there. We have a place about, you lie down for a half hour, you'll feel fine. Happens every year. So anyway, getting back to the point, all we have to do is call them on their lie. Every time they want to scapegoat a group of people, whether it's the Jews or the witches or the homosexuals or the potheads and the pot dealers, they say, you're coming for your kids. They're going to hurt your kids. And the only way to get our rights, to get equality with the coffee bean people, is to call them on their lie every time. Stop being scared of talking about pot and kids. It's not that bad. Once you understand the truth that it doesn't harm kids, once you familiarize yourself with the facts anywhere, but I've gathered them at potfacts.ca, once you familiarize yourself with the facts, you can say, look, what's killing kids is climate destabilization. What's killing kids is suicide. What's killing kids is overdoses of alcohol and pills. What's killing kids is car crashes. You know what isn't killing kids? Cannabis. Cannabis isn't harming kids. It helps them get along in the world we created for them and they have to tolerate. Kids are being crushed by this crappy societies we've left them. And cannabis helps them get through the day. I remember when I was 14, I was suicidal. I didn't have any friends. I had no social graces. My hormones were raging. And what kept me going was that cannabis took the edge off the day. It made all the people who were putting their thumb on my neck a little bit more tolerable, kept me from smacking them. And cannabis is teen medicine. 420 was a ritual created by teenagers after school. It's for the young. How dare they leave the young out of legalization? Pot is for the young. It keeps you young. It allows you to live longer with less stress and fewer wrinkles. It's medicine for old people to stay young. And it's for young people to stay young. It's for everybody. In fact, they even use it for babies, for epilepsy and for tumor shrinkers. It's a great medicine for all sorts of things. And they're finding out that industrial hemp has CBDs, and you can harvest that from the hemp fields. It costs next to nothing. It's like a waste product. And it can shrink tumors. And it can be used for epilepsy, and it can be used for psychosis, for schizophrenia and other problems that they're trying to blame cannabis on. Actually, cannabis has the cure for that stuff, but because the mythology, the Reefer Madness 2.0, cannabis makes your kids stupid or crazy, we can't even experiment on CBD, which isn't psychoactive. Okay, so that's the truth. If you want the evidence to back that truth up, again, I got the 420 guides at the med tent over there. We are going to have a marijuana giveaway at 4:20 p.m. right here, so stick around for that. We're going to have lots of musicians. At 6 o'clock, we're going to start cleaning up all the garbage in the park, and anybody who helps clean up, we've got fantastic joints for you this year. I am soaring on one of the ones I tested out to see if it was potent. I assure you it is. And the cleanup crew will be well looked after. We also got edibles for the people who stay till the end. And yeah, we're going to rock this park. We're going to have a wonderful time. Enjoy yourselves. You know, be yourselves. If you're a pot smoker, smoke pot. If you're a pot dealer, deal pot. If you're a pot grower, bring your plants out and show them. Have a wonderful time. You'll be protected by the crowd. We'll give you a hug if the cops give us a hard time, but they won't because they've learned their lesson. Every couple of police chiefs they forget, but they learned it 2 years ago. They won't mess with us this year.
Yeah, David Malmo-Levine.